Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Techno Talks here. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. So I've been waiting a little while for this device now. I'm super excited for foldables, and Samsung usually has the lead in this. However, this year with the Pixel Fold, they do have some competition, and I'd like to see what they've improved and if they have made any improvements compared to last year's Z Fold 5. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open this up. Taking a look at the packaging, in the front we can see a nice little image of the phone and in the color that you got it. So I do have the icy blue version. However, there are a couple of variants. We have 3 normal colors, and then we do have 2 normal Samsung exclusive colors if you do want to pick them up at Samsung.com. Again, we can see Galaxy Z Fold 5 down here. And in the back, we do get some more information regarding what you have inside. And I do also have the 512 variant. And the reason for that is because it's the same price as the 256 when you are pre-ordering, and I still do believe that is going on. So to open it up, all we have to do is pull these 2 tabs. So starting with the bottom, boom, and the top one, voila. So both the tabs are now open, and we can go ahead and let the device out. So here is a look at the Z Fold 5, which I will go ahead and take out, place down here, and take a look at the insides. So on the inside, this probably does have the charging cable and also the SIM ejection tool, which I am correct, the charging cable is in there. So we do get a nice little USB-C to C cable. I wish we did get a lot more inside of these packages, especially with the fact that you're paying $1,800 for a smartphone, even though it's folding. I don't really see if it's actually worth it, but again, we do pay that money, and we should get something that is worth it. So here is the Z Fold 5, and if we do go ahead and open it up from the side, I'll go ahead and be quiet for this. All right, here is the first look at the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. So this device is looking beautiful. So this is in the icy blue color. Here's a look at it. This looks super nice, and I am actually really loving this color. So if I do go ahead and get the sticker out, place that to the side, and actually get the first fold. So boom. So it never ceases to amaze me that we can actually fold a smartphone now, and I am truly in love with these foldables. So this here, one of the key improvements is the fact that we don't have a gap in the hinge. As you can see, the hinge is gapless, which is super nice. It's something I've been waiting for a while now, and they finally did do it. We still do get that narrow tall screen. I'm not really a fan of it, but I can see the use cases for it. And then on the inside, we do get that nice 7.6-inch display, which is super good. So powering it on, let's go ahead and hold down the power button and get this device booted up. And while this is booting up, I'd like to talk about some of the tech specs, if we can actually boot this device up. So we do have a 4-megapixel selfie camera on the inner display, which is located right here, that is under the display. In the front, we do get another 10-megapixel selfie camera, and then we do have our main camera, triple lens camera set up right here with an ultra wide, wide, and a zoom lens. So unfortunately, we don't get many upgrades with the camera, and we really don't get many upgrades with the device, which is kind of a bummer. I wish we did get a lot more upgrades. We still do get our fingerprint power button, our volume marker on the side, and also our antenna band for the cellular connection, which is good to know. Again, as I said, not many improvements. Even with the battery, we still do get that measly 4,400 milliamp hour battery, which really isn't the best battery life that you can get, especially in a foldable with a huge display. However, we still do get a 120 Hz display on the front and also a 120 Hz display on the inside. We do have a little more brighter display on the inside, which is good to know for outdoor uses. But again, still the same device basically, and not really much has improved. So let me go ahead and get this device set up real quick. And before I do that, I'd like to actually compare it to my S23 Ultra, which I have right here. And as you can see, we do have a fair bit of a size difference, even though when you do open this phone up, we do get the larger display. However, when you do place them side by side and when it is folded up, you can see that it is thicker, but not by much, and it is a lot smaller compared to the S23 Ultra, which is super nice. So foldables are getting somewhere. They're still not at their best. In my opinion, I still believe we can get an S Pen in here, a larger battery, better camera lenses as well. However, as of right now, this is the best that we are going to get from Samsung. So I'll go ahead and get this set up, and once that is done, I'll get back to y'all. All right, we now have the phone set up, and here is the Z Fold 5 once more. So opening it up, we can see that we are in our cover display. And again, this display does look super nice. Having a large display on a smartphone that you can actually pocket is something that I've just been looking forward to for a really long time, and Samsung is continually improving their products. Even though this year they really didn't improve much, they are still doing their best, maybe, so I'm not really sure about that. But here is a look at the Z Fold 5 home screen. Again, we can actually access multiple apps from this home screen, but the first thing I like to do is go ahead and access our settings. So in our settings, I'd like to actually go ahead and check out our display. We can see that we do have a light and dark mode. And if we do place it in dark mode, here's a look at that. And let's go to the light mode. So we do have our adaptive brightness, extra brightness, motion smoothness. Again, this is to show that it does go down all the way to 1 Hertz from 120 Hertz. And there's also the standard one, which is only going to be 60 Hertz. So going back, we can also see that we do have our eye comfort shield setting, which is good to know. Other than that, really not much else here. Screen timeout, usually keep it at the most, but those are some of the settings there. So some of the settings that I actually do want to really check out are going to be the security settings, and this is going to be for the lock screen. So if we do go ahead and set up our screen lock, I'll go ahead and set up a pin real quick. So I'll go ahead and do this as 000, boom, use anyway, 0000, boom, use anyway. So let's go ahead and actually set up our lock screen. So with the lock screen, we can do two things. We have face recognition, and we also do have our fingerprint setting. So with the face recognition, it does use the camera. And if we do go ahead and use that, we can see that it does use the 4 megapixel camera on the inside, and it also does use the 10 megapixel camera, selfie camera on the outside. So if we do go ahead and check that out, we can see that it does unlock with ease. And let's go ahead and do it with the inner display. So if we do go ahead and close our phone, boom, again, unlocked. So super nice and easy way of unlocking our device. Next up, we also do have our fingerprint. So fingerprint is going to be the better choice compared to the facial recognition, as that only does use the camera for it. So it's not the most secure facial recognition that you can get on a device. But again, they've worked so far. I use it with my S23 Ultra all the time, and I've had no issues. And I haven't had anyone actually breach into my phone. So far, no issues with that. But fingerprint is always going to be the better bet. So to actually go ahead and set up our fingerprint, right here we can see we do have the instructions. All we have to do is just place your finger on there, remove it, change position sometimes, but that is basically it. So moving it around, all right, lift off when you feel the vibration, and voila. So super easy to set up, almost there. All right, and here is our fingerprints. So that is going to be our fingerprint. To actually go ahead and test that out, let's go ahead and close our phone, open it up, and place your finger. So that is basically instantaneous. And same goes for when you're on the outer display. All you have to do is just open it up and it is instant. So I'm not really going to talk about the outer display much, as it is a simple display. It's just like a normal phone. It is a lot narrower, so you do have a lot of issues with that. And if you do want to go ahead and type something, you are going to have some issues with that. But again, in most scenarios, it should be fine for one-hand usage. It is very reachable. As you can see, we can access all corners basically, other than the very top. But all you have to do is just swipe down to reach the top. So overall, the outer display is pretty decent. I do actually prefer the size of the Pixel. I haven't actually had the chance to use it, but that will be coming soon as well, so stay tuned for that. But for now, this should be fine in most use cases. So as for the inner display, again, it is pretty safe. It does work and function really well. I haven't heard too many stories about it cracking in the recent years, but it can happen. So you just have to be a little more careful when using this phone compared to your other devices. So once again, I'd like to go ahead and compare my S23 Ultra with the Z Fold 5, and as you can see, we do have a fairly larger display with the Z Fold 5, even though the S23 Ultra is slightly heavier feel-wise, but I would have to actually check out the weights for these. But again, it does feel a little heavier, and we do get the smaller display, and it's a little more uncomfortable in my opinion because of the edges with the S23 Ultra. Unlike the Z Fold 5, even in its opened up form, it's actually super nice and easy to hold, and it is fairly comfortable, which should be fine when you're holding a tablet-like device in a long term, especially maybe in airplane flights, which is probably going to be the use case for me. But when you do close it up, again, it's very small. It's a little thicker compared to the S23 Ultra, but it is still fairly easy to hold because of that narrow body. So use case, you're probably not going to have any issues compared to a normal device. Some people might have to get used to it, but in most scenarios, it should be the same. So again, I'd like to actually finally test out the cameras on this. So starting off with the normal cameras, again, we do have the ultra wide, and then we do have the 3x zoom and our normal wide camera. This does go up to 50 megapixels with the main sensor, but I usually do go ahead and stick with the normal sensor. And if we do go ahead and choose the selfie mode, you can see that we do have the 4 megapixel sensor, which does look pretty bad, but you can always go ahead and close this up and open this side and use a selfie camera right here, which is actually the 10 megapixel selfie, or you can go ahead and open this up and switch it to the selfie and actually use your front-facing cameras. So you can actually go ahead and switch this around and be able to use the cameras on the outside, which are a lot clearer and they do look a lot better. So overall, a pretty nice and decent device. First impressions, just like the Z Fold 4, I am really loving this device. I'd like to use this for a little more, and personally, I will probably use this as my daily for a little while until I get used to everything and maybe keep it, so I'm not really sure. But overall, the Z Fold 5 is a really nice device. Is it worth the 1,800 bucks? That's going to change from person to person. As of right now, foldables are in a pretty decent state. They are usable for most people. I don't really think people will have any issues with the foldables as of right now, but again, they still do have some time to improve. So with the Z Fold 5, Samsung hasn't improved much, as I said, compared to the Z Fold 4. And if you do have a Z Fold 4, don't go for the upgrade. I'd say wait for the 6, but if you haven't owned a foldable before and you do want to get into the foldable space, I'd say go with Samsung's. Google has a really nice device, but that is going to be in the first generation, so we might have some bugs with that. And so Samsung has been refining their foldables for around 5 years now, which means that they are going to be a lot better compared to the Pixel Fold. So I'd say go for this if you do really want a foldable, but again, it's really not worth the upgrade from the 4. So that'll basically wrap it up for this video. As always, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and see y'all in the next one.